Hi. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to see you here at, I think, what is probably the graveyard shift of the book fair. But we're going to try and make this as lively and entertaining as possible. My name's Anne Branch. I work for the European Commission. I'm in charge of the European Union's Culture Programme, which funds many cultural activities, including a range of cultural prizes for the European Union, including the European Union Prize for Literature, which we're here to talk about today. I'm very happy to be here today with three of our winners from last year. Adam Folds, who was the UK winner, Inga Zalude from the Latvian winner, and Andrei Nikolaidis, our Montenegrin winner. And I'm very happy that, in fact, I'm back here for the third year running to talk about the prize. The last 2 years, the prize is very new. It was only launched 4 years ago. So the last 2 years, it was very much still trying to explain what the prize was about and seeking to do. I'm very happy now that we're in a position, 3 years later, to be able to look back a little bit about what impact it's had. But for those of you who aren't familiar with the prize, I mean, perhaps how many of you had heard of the prize before today? Okay, I'm impressed. But for those of you who aren't familiar with the prize, I just want to say a few very brief words about why the European Commission launched this prize. Before we go on to discuss a little bit about the experience of our prize winners. Now, first of all, as I said, it's a relatively new prize. We're now, 2012 is the 4th year of the prize, but in terms of prizes, this is very young. We've heard it said it often takes 10 years to really establish a prize. So it's still early days, and we know the prize isn't as visible as we hope it will be in a few years' time. But as well as being a new prize, we think it's a truly unique prize, particularly in two ways. The first is that it's the only book prize that rewards emerging authors from 37 different European countries over a 3-year period. So we have roughly 12 national winners each year. And we think the aims of the prize are also unique, in that it's about what we wanted to do in launching this prize was to promote the full richness of European literature and to celebrate really the full wealth of the literature we have across Europe. The second thing is that, of course, like all book prizes, we want to help the winners with their careers. But in particular here, we really want the prize to help stimulate translation of their work. And then thirdly, we want the prize to also have an impact beyond the winners. Of course, we really hope it will help them with their careers, but we hope it will have a broader impact in the long term in raising awareness and interest in reading literature from outside one's own country. So we hope it will generate interest among publishers, booksellers, and readers in reading literature from other countries. I should just say that we don't choose the winners at the European Commission. We're a political institution. We don't think it's our job to make artistic choices. So we work with a sector-based consortium who are here today. It's the European organizations representing the publishers, and Bergman is here, and Agatha Ulbrecht, and Fran Dubuis from the European booksellers, and the European writers. So they organize the national juries for us, which are comprised of literary experts. They organize the award ceremony for us and promotional activities. I should also say that the reason why the prize addresses 37 European countries is because in the European Union's culture programme, there are 37 European countries taking part. Of course, it would be unmanageable to have 37 national selections each year, and the winners wouldn't get any visibility. So that's why we organise the national selections over a 3-year cycle. And last year was the end of the first cycle for all the countries. So, okay, I think I've said enough now. So I'm really delighted that we can talk to 3 of the winners directly about their experience. And I think we have a very interesting cross-section here. I think Adam is coming from the UK, obviously a big European country, 60 million people or so, a dominant language. Inga is coming from Latvia. Is it 2.2 million people, I think I read on the internet, and a less dominant language. And then we have Andrei from Montenegro. Is it 700,000 people?
Yeah.
But a larger linguistic...
like 14 million.
14 million if you take the Serbo-Croat languages together. So I think it's an interesting contrast, and I think it's clear that different perspectives will hopefully emerge. So perhaps the first question I wanted to kind of put to you, and that we're really interested in knowing about, is we wanted this prize to help you with your careers, you as individuals. So can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, what your reaction was when you heard you'd won the prize? Had you heard of it before? And has it subsequently helped your careers? I mean, for example, we know that for many of the winners, it has helped them to sell more rights to their work. It has helped them to be translated. And the European Union's Culture Programme does give privileged funding support for the translations of the winners' works. Have you been invited to events or residencies? Have you had more press coverage? So maybe, Andrei, do you want to chip in first?
First of all, the award really works, and it works on many levels. The main thing is the translations. It really opens doors because it put focus on you with that label. European Union Prize for Literature winner. The publishers are really paying attention to you, especially if you are coming from a smaller or very small languages, and that is one thing. The other thing is in the space of in your own society, in your own country, in your own language. It really helps. Especially, the funny thing is, the main political goal for Montenegro now is to become a member of the European Union. So everything with EU label is very welcome, and so am I. So am I now. So that's the second level. And of course, yes, we are the same authors as we were before the prize, but. It really helps. You represent a very serious, very powerful institution, and when you put the finger on someone as like on 3 of us, it really means something.
Yeah. And you yourself and Inga have managed to get translated into English, which is really tremendous, because I think all of us here know just how difficult that can be. Was that a direct result of the prize, or was it more fortuitous circumstances?
Not directly, because Susie from Istros Books decided to translate my novel The Coming. And I certainly hope that next year we will have The Sun, the award-winning novel, in the same publishing house. But pardon my French, but
your English is very good if you know that expression.
Pardon my French, but this is an English language-centered world. So if you don't exist in English language, you don't really exist. I mean, it's okay. I love my language. I love my neighbors' languages, etc., etc. But for every author, it's the most important thing. Yeah. I mean, if you are planning some kind of international career.
Yeah. Okay, Inga.
The English translation, a little bit precision. The English translation is still in production, but this is not the winning book, but my first novel, which is being translated into English. And Yes, the prize has helped me to sell rights. Currently, 3 countries have bought rights for the winning book, and several have applied for this support for translation, and which is very important. I started. It improved also national visibility of me and of my books, and there is upcoming also the European Week in Latvia in May, and I've been invited to all the possible events and different cities in Latvia to come as a European Literature Prize winner, and. But the most, not the most, but one of very nice moments in connection with getting this prize was that I have been invited also to give a prize to other people as a winner myself of this big prize, and I'm very proud because it was a big the big prize of music in Latvia, which concerns opera, composition, and so on. So I've been on the stage of opera, and this was an unforgettable moment in my life.
And I think also you've just heard that you've been offered a residency by Passaporter in Belgium, haven't you? Which is a
Yes.
direct result of the prize.
Yes, this
congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, this is a funny story because I wanted to apply for Passport a long time already, and I've been speaking to other winning authors who had already been there, and I said, yes, I want to go there, and this application procedure is so long and difficult and so on. And in some time I got this news that I've been awarded this kind of possibility to go there. And I was like screaming from joy and very happy, and I'm going there in end of August.
Yeah. And was there, just before I move on to Adam, that wasn't for us? Oh dear, okay. Never mind. This is just it's warming you up for later on. Did you have a lot of press coverage nationally? I've no idea, but was it picked up nationally?
Yes, it was. Of course,
Yeah.
and interviews and everything. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
You mean
Yeah.
that's how media works, you know?
Yeah, and that's good, because obviously moving on to Adam now we realise the challenges of making a prize like this visible in the UK are totally different. So we have variable expectations. But nevertheless, Adam, I mean, can you say the prize has helped you? You'd already been shortlisted for a number of prizes and won some, but has it managed to help you nevertheless?
Yes, very definitely and directly. It brought about a number of translation deals. I guess I ought to make clear that as well as kind of raising the visibility of your work, the prize functions very practically to support it by its fund for the subsidy of translation of the winning works, and their publishers are able to apply for financial support to make those translations. And I think that has made a big difference and made those deals possible. Having said that, I think my experience is quite different to the others of the prize because of Britain's insularity in some respects in terms of its literary culture. It's the winning of a European Union prize was sort of kind of unremarked upon really everywhere. So it didn't have the kind of press visibility here that it evidently has done for other winners in other countries. I think there are a number of reasons for that, and they're not all things that British literary culture should feel guilty about. Evidently, by virtue of the English language, Britain is part of a massive international literary world already, and therefore may not feel it needs to kind of invest in kind of cross-linguistic enterprises for kind of fostering literary diversity, because there is already so much diversity within the voices that write in English. And obviously Britain itself is a country with of great ethnic diversity, with many people writing in English who have different experiences to communicate, and that kind of the act of translation to some extent exists inside the language already.
How did you feel? Did you think about the fact that actually you were the first UK winner? Because these are national selections, it's actually quite a unique privilege in a way to be singled out as the first winner, prize winner of a language, such a dominant language. Or did it not?
I was absolutely delighted when I found out about the prize, which I hadn't heard of before I did. I was deeply honoured to be that person and to have that little, my name kind of chiselled into that little bit of the prize history, that to be the first British winner is a nice kind of inalienable thing that I have.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just add before I move on to my next question that we're very proud always to cite the example of our Macedonian winner from 2010 who, as a result of the prize, well, we're not quite sure how many countries he sold his rights to at the last count, but we think it's somewhere between 17 and 30. Because that included the UK, the USA, and some Asian countries. I think so. Brazil, Latin America. So that's a really. Let's hope also that the prize will help you sell your rights to as many countries. I wanted to pick up on something that Andrei said about the need to get translated into English, which brings me on to the question of your readers, and I'm kind of curious to know. When you're writing, do you just write for yourselves, or do you write with your readers in mind? And now that you've won a European prize, does that change anything? With the prize, we want the author's works to cross borders, and we want as many books as possible to cross borders into other languages and reach as many people across Europe as possible to share all the different stories and realities that we have in Europe. Has it changed anything for you when you write in terms of how you think about your reader, and how do you think about your reader?
No, I don't think about my readers. I write as I would be the only reader of my writing. And I think for me it is very important because otherwise I could lose my edge. That's what I think, and if you start to calculate about what are the themes your readers expecting from you, in generally, what are your readers' expectations? That's kind of that's a thing. It could easily corrupt you. I think so, And for me, I'm a little bit idealistic here. Writing is something really sacred. It is a single most important thing in the world for me, and I will keep it for myself. This whole thing, that is wonderful. But I have no intention to write in any other way than I was reading previously to this award.
Okay. Inga?
Of course, when I write, then on the very far end, I know that there is a reader there. But I don't have a particular image of this reader. I don't know the age or whatever, or the interests or something like that. There is no concrete image of reader. And I also don't try to satisfy some expectations. And although after the prize it's given some responsibility for my writing, that some kind of quality responsibility. But it didn't also affect me that much because when I received the prize, I was already in the kind of last stage of production of my next book. So. Yeah, I didn't have this very direct pressure of this prize or kind of expectations.
Adam?
I think I would go along with what the other two have said about not especially having a reader in mind. I think the reader that the one is working with is some version of oneself, in a sense, in that part of what motivates me to want to write particular things is that I'm writing a book that I want to exist but that doesn't yet exist. So it's kind of to fill a gap that I, as a reader, experience. Subsequent to sort of being published in the last few years, and by virtue of prizes and festivals and things, I have met readers, and it is wonderful to come across people who know one's work, and some of whom are very passionate about it, and that it feels very affirming to kind of encounter people who seem to have a craving for the same kinds of beauty or intensity that I'm looking for, both as a reader and to achieve in my writing. So I have, I guess, latterly a sense that there are people out there who will respond to my work and will understand it. As for the thought of it being read in other countries, I don't really know what to make of that. I actually had an email exchange actually this morning with someone in Budapest who is a postgraduate translation student who's translating a short story of mine, which was anthologized last year for her master's thesis, I think. And she had a couple of queries about specific meanings of a couple of slang phrases, which I answered for her, and she wrote back saying, pleased to sort of hear back from me and saying, we in Hungary very much like your work. Please keep writing. And the idea that there are Hungarians who are excited about my work is deeply strange and wonderful. But I don't really know, how I integrate that into my thinking about my writing. I don't think I can usefully, probably. I think you have to remain true to your instinct and to the kind of the locality of your imagination, and trust that, as it evidently does for some people, will cross borders for readers.
Yeah. So focus on being true to your writing, and the rest will follow then. Now tell me, one of the unusual things about this prize is that the fact that we have some 12 winners each year. So we're bringing together 12 authors every year from very different countries, different sized linguistic groups. And when you came together for the award ceremony in November, you spent, was it 2 or 3 days in Brussels and had a chance to get to know each other. In the past, we saw that some of the authors went on to create a network and to become friends, and some of them even introduced the others' work to their publishers. So I'm kind of curious, this was actually an unexpected effect of the prize, which we didn't foresee, but we were very pleased to see that it had this kind of networking effect. And I'm just curious to see, did anything like that happen in last year's contingent? What was it like for you to suddenly have the opportunity to meet authors from other European countries, and did it change anything for you, how you view yourself as an author, or do you view Europe any differently through having had that exchange and that experience? So, Andre?
I have to say the answer is no. First of all, I didn't become a part of any new network, but that's up to me, because I'm kind of a loner and I live pretty much isolated in a small town in Ulcinj, and I prefer it that way. So maybe the other authors did that, and of course that would be nice and good thing. Of course you love to meet people, especially people from other cultures, because we all think that we know a thing or two about all European cultures, but it's quite different when you actually meet a person and have an opportunity to speak with her or him. I don't know. No need to be especially politically correct about this whole thing. The same. Here is the same thing as with that expectations of readers. No one can tell what will happen when you put together 12 different people from 12 different cultures. But the important thing is to put them together. You can't predict the outcome, but the good thing is to do that.
Inga?
Yes, we occasionally exchange with some of other authors some emails, or I sent, for example, an email to Adam saying that, oh, I'm coming to London like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, we will meet and we'll have a drink in the evening. And today I met him, I said, well, you never answered to my email. He said, I did yesterday. I said, oh, I hadn't read it. Thank you. Oh, but I think it's a British thing, probably.
Better late than never, as we say.
It's not that I have met authors from other countries for the first time. I mean, in Brussels, I've been going to some writers' residencies and met lots of authors from different countries there, and it's very interesting. To see. I think in those in this climate, for example, in a residency, where you can see how authors at work, and when they are set up their kind of thinking for working. When we were in Brussels, it was like, you know, a big thing and entertainment or something like that, but it's very interesting to exchange experiences of writing and such things. So, yeah.
Okay. Adam?
Yeah, I liked it very much. I think, you know, writers, we're solitary people, and it's nice to be invited out of your room now and again to meet other people, and it can, you know, I felt it worked particularly well with this prize. It was very pleasing to me to meet these other solitary obsessive from around the continent. I felt very sort of deeply reflective of something that is true about literature, which is that it is transnational. You know, that there is a European literary culture that, and there are national literary cultures, but there are these lines of thought and influence that are quite indifferent to national boundaries, and that we all, you know, we all have some relationship with Cervantes or Shakespeare, or, you know, that, as I say, that sort of that border-crossing European literary inheritance felt very alive to me in the reality of meeting writers of fiction from around Europe, all brought together for this one purpose.
So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the aims that we wanted to achieve with this prize was, as well as helping you as individuals with your careers, was also to have a broader impact and hopefully help other writers. I mean, this would be particularly the case in authors from smaller linguistic areas. We realise, as we mentioned before, that the challenges of visibility in the UK or countries like France and Germany are very different. Do you think it can help? This is perhaps particularly for Inga and Andrei. Do you think the prize, it may take some time, it's every 3 years. In some ways you'll be the Montenegrin and Latvian winner for 3 years. Yeah. But do you think it can help in the long run also other authors to raise awareness, interest in Latvian literature and Montenegrin literature to provide a stimulus?
Yes, of course, because if I fail to get a certain amount of translations, the person who would become a Montenegrin winner after me could do that, of course. And I think the presence is the important thing. It is important that you are there where you're supposed to be, and it takes time, of course, but
Someone likes us. That's nice.
Eventually it will happen. Someone from the Montenegro will do something like big or anything. I mean, probably it won't be me, but
And Inga? Doubts, you're thinking. Do you want to think a bit more?
I have been encouraging some young Latvian authors who have published only one book so far to manage to write another one in those 2 years, so that they can probably get this prize.
So partial ambassador.
Yes, kind of.
Well, perhaps then turning to Adam. The challenges are different. I'm kind of curious about your view about maybe how can we help European literature break into the Anglophone market, as you come from a country which is also, the UK is often caricatured as not really willing to embrace Europe. Do you think the prize can have, in the long run or medium term, some kind of impact in the UK to help raise awareness of European literature?
I'm sure it can. I mean, evidently it's bringing authors from minority European languages into English, which has got to be a good thing. It would be nice to see more reaction to it in the British arts press in future. Maybe that will come as it grows. As you say, it's a very new prize, and it's a prize for emerging authors. So as those authors emerge, their reputations will sort of burnish the reputation of the prize also. So hopefully there will be some kind of cumulative prestige for this prize over the coming years. As regards sort of how foreign language literature arrives in the UK, it's somewhat outside of my realm of expertise. I mean, I see it happening as a general reader myself in particular ways and in sort of waves of linguistic fashion. There's clearly a Nordic thing going on at the moment, but how. And evidently there are a number of very sort of energetic and interested publishers who work very hard to bring things into English. But yeah, it does. I think somewhat for the reasons I was talking about earlier about the kind of pre-existing diversity in English, and I guess possibly a laziness that is licensed by coming from a large linguistic culture, that you don't feel you don't have to ever read anything in translation if you don't want to. I mean, you can read a great number of things that are written originally in English without doing that. So there is maybe some more inertia there generally in the culture about reading literature and translation. But clearly, part of what the prize should do is to get some momentum behind literature and translation across Europe.
Yeah, and clearly we always knew until the UK had a winner, having this 3-year cycle, until the UK had a winner, it was clear that the media here wouldn't start to pick up on it. Anyway, let's hope, we're very glad to see that another indirect effect of the prize was, have to commend Rosie Goldsmith, who's not here right now, but who was here earlier with interviewing Inga and Andre, who started a network to promote European literature in the UK. It's a totally spontaneous thing, and she came to see our award ceremony with another UK group, and she was really inspired, and so I have to commend Rosie for the efforts she's doing to really promote European literature in the UK, and having taken part in one of her network meetings, it's clear that there are a number of small publishers in the UK that are very passionate about this, and that was really very encouraging to see from the European Commission's perspective, where we're very interested in promoting cultural and linguistic diversity. Perhaps one final question to you before, and then I might open it up to the floor. What are you working on now, and do you have any particular ambitions? I don't mean in terms of necessarily winning the Nobel Prize, but just on a whatever level they might be in your writing.
I'm actually finishing a next novel right now. I think I have only a few corrections to make before I send it to my Croatian publisher, because I always publish in Zagreb first, and that's it. And planning to write a play, actually, for a Bosnian actor. He ordered it to me about, of course, what else about Bosnian War, and a film director from Ljubljana called me and said that she would like to make a movie based on one of my stories, and that's
great.
surprising for me. Yeah, and yeah, that's more than enough.
Okay. Well, congratulations. That's tremendous. So, Inga.
My new book just came out last month in March, and I had already started working on my next piece, another novel. So, and the usual things, all the smaller, usual, not maybe smaller, but all the other things you should do with writing and reviews and so on. Everything is still going on.
Adam?
I'm working on a novel which I am hoping will be finished for publication next year. I've been accumulating short stories, one of which will be appearing in the next issue of Granta magazine. I have ideas for the next things that I want to write, and my ambition really is just to stay in that state of having things that I want to write and that feel urgent. I think the thing I fear is that one ends up sort of professionalized and writing a novel because one needs to write a novel. It's been, a certain period of time since the last one, and what else are you going to do? It is now what you do. I think that's a dangerous situation to get in, and I hope to stay writing books because I feel really unavoidably sort of compelled to do so, and that certainly looks like it's going to be the case for another few years.
Okay, good. Well, we've got some time. I'd like to open it up now to the floor. If anyone would like to ask a question to the authors or about anything at all, related to this session, of course. Yes, please, yeah.
Hello, my name's Susan. I run Istros Books, and I'm very proud to be the publisher of Andrei Nicolaides in the UK. And I would just like to say that not only is the prize, European Union Prize for Literature, very important, but also they have a funding line through the EU Culture Fund, which publishers can apply for translation funds. And in fact, that's how The Coming has a UK edition, because I applied and I received funding for 4 books, one of which was Andrei's. And I've also put in an application for this year. So I think it's worth mentioning that you do not only give the prize, but also back it up with some facilitation to get money to publish it in different languages.
Yeah, we have, for those of you who don't know, we have about 3 million euros each year to support literary translation for publishing houses. And since we launched the prize, we give priority to winners of the prize under that strand. And we have, to date, the figures we have indicate that 33 of the 35 authors have been translated thanks to that money into 21 languages. So we're glad to see that the publishers are making use of it. Yes, please.
If we're talking about crossing borders, what plans are there, for example, to put the prize book on it so that it's available over the net? Because these are short pieces, very much within the grasp of somebody like me who's looking for something to read. This. So, can you tell us what plans you have for that?
Oh, well, there would be rights issues there, but what I can say, I mean, that falls within the scope of what we're able to do. But what we do. With the consortium that works with us, they prepare this book every year, which are extracts from each of the winning novels. And then the authors can choose whether, most of them choose to have the extract translated into English. They can choose to have it translated into French. And this is distributed also at, sorry, Fran? Yeah, this is on the website, yeah. This information is on the website, and the information is given to all the rights directors at the Frankfurt Book Fair, where we announce the prize to really try to help the authors as much as possible. And it's been given out here also in the Rights Directors Centre, and so it's on the website. There's also the website has been massively improved in the last 6 months. So there's a lot of information there. The agents of the authors can update put information in there. Do you want to say anything, Fran, on this? Fran is in charge of from the booksellers, and she deals with the promotional side of the prize.
Thank you, Anne. Yeah, the book is available in PDF format on the website. Could you read out for me the address of the website, because I don't remember it by heart? It's EU Prize. No, the website.
www.euprizeliterature.eu.
That's it. euprizeliterature.eu.
Do we have some flyers here? I thought.
No,
okay.
we don't.
Anyway, you can come and.
Yeah. So anyway, the website is also a possibility for authors to advertise their own events, and for their agents or right directors to update as long as they log in. And they could say, okay, my author will be reading there, my author will be doing this and that. So that's also a very proactive tool, and say it again to your agents.
Yeah.
So they have to update and contact my colleague if they want you to be promoted, and say to your colleagues as well. So we do what we can for you to have a life also on our website to promote your work. So it's a kind of an interactive tool.
And the website also has videos of each of the authors. They were interviewed when they came for the awards ceremony. They have nice videos about them talking about their work. And we're also trying to move into the brave new world of social media and tweeting about their presence at book fairs and this kind of thing, and achievements to try to help as well. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Again, I'm not sure it's a question so much as a comment or a thought. When you introduced this session, you said that the prize was a way of involving, I can't remember how you phrased it, but involving writers and publishers and readers. You missed a category, and that's librarians and libraries. Because it seems to me that certainly in this country, and we know that libraries are, have less money than they had before, but if we want to get people reading in a more diverse way and reading, books in translation particularly, but possibly in the original languages, that we need to try and ensure that libraries are aware of the prize and the winners and the availability of the books. And for instance, I don't know whether our publisher colleague over there has been selling through the major library suppliers.
Yeah, thank you for the comment, and certainly my list wasn't intended to be exclusive, and I think it's a very important point, and I see my colleague Anne Bergman making a note there, so that's... Yes, please.
My name is Ognjen, I'm from Sarajevo, I'm a musicologist, so I live now in London, between London and Sarajevo. I can say this, always when I'm somewhere in some capital of European countries who are member of European. I go in European houses. Like if you are here, you need to visit the Europe House in this square. Everywhere when last half year I was many times. Everywhere was some good books, CDs, book for children, and always is this free. And these are really beautiful books like this book and everywhere. And I think so you need to have an impulse to look what's happening in Europe, not only in your country, not only in my country, in Bosnia or here in London where I live now. That's important, and I think so all these offices of European Union produce so many good things. Book for cooking, European Union Prize for Literature. I'm jazz critic, I took double CD with fantastic music from all Europe, not only from England, from America, everywhere, from everywhere, for small countries, Romania, everywhere. Really excellent. I congratulate for this.
Thank you. And we do try to distribute this as widely as possibly and as strategically as possible as well. Yes.
Hi, my name is Eileen Jones from Aberystwyth University. I'm involved in literature across frontiers. Question I have, perhaps you might be able to anticipate it, the way that I've introduced myself, is that would it be possible for a writer to win this prize if they weren't writing in the main official language of their state?
The answer is yes, we leave it to the national jury.
So, in a sense, it would be great at some point if a writer writing in a language other than the main official language of their state were to be awarded one of these prizes. Has this happened to date?
Well, not so far because we've only had a 3-year cycle, but it was certainly an issue that the Spanish jury raised, for example, and I think even the UK jury raised it as a question. I think what's very important for us at the Commission, though, is that we don't want this prize to become political. We want it to be about literature, about art, and we want it to be for the jury to decide purely on terms of quality who they think is the best possible author. And I think that's really important, that it doesn't become politicized. And that's the only comment I'd make, but it's perfectly possible. We wouldn't exclude it, not at all.
No, I'm very glad to hear that. I mean, equally, I wouldn't want it to be a politicized prize in the sense that it would only be available to people who write in the language of their state. So, I think I very much look forward to seeing that happen. I would only want it to see it happen, on the basis of merit.
Merit, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And any other questions? No? So the graveyard session is drawing to a close. No one's dead, okay. But in that case, I'd really like to thank you all for being here. And I'd also like to obviously thank our authors. I'd like to thank the 2 translators who are here, the publishing house, Istros. Of course, the Literary Translation Centre. It's really wonderful that this is going for the 3rd year running. And last but definitely not before last but not least, our partners who organise the prize for us. And last but not least, Literature Across Frontiers, who have who've started to work in partnership with us and are helping us to promote the prize. So I'd like to thank them warmly for their support. So thank you. Okay.